Uh, AWN 415, all those LOL TNAers have been silent. They come out of the woodwork for like the most random stuff. And let's go ahead and get to the top story. Go ahead and get to the top story. So, TNA is currently suing Gail Kim. But it's not like a real lawsuit where they're seeking a judgment of something, where they're not seeking any compensation. They're not doing anything like that. So what happened was Gail Kim, hold on, I'm just going to type Gail Kim sent some legal paperwork that was filed in the state of Florida to TNA stating that she has grounds for something, a lawsuit, something like that. So she filed the paperwork and let them know. She did not sue them. She didn't do anything like that. She just like let them know that I could do this if I wanted to. And it was filed in the state of Florida. So Anthem Wrestling Exhibitions, the parent company, it's an LLC of Anthem Entertainment, like Big Anthem up here. And then they have Anthem Wrestling Exhibitions, which is the parent company of TNA. So it's like these limited liability companies. So Anthem, the headquarters is in Toronto, right? But AWE, their headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee. So what they did is like you can file whatever you want to file, but based off of their contractual agreement that we had together, where you worked for us, all lawsuits have to be litigated in the state of Tennessee, which is where our headquarters is at. So that's what that is. Now we don't know why Gail Kim sent them some type of legal documentation. We don't know why, but we know what the response is. So let me just get the notes here. So TNA Wrestling's parent company, Anthem Wrestling Exhibitions, is suing Gail Kim in Tennessee to stop her from pursuing legal claims against them in Florida. Kim threatened action under the Florida Private Whistleblower Act following her March 2025 release, while Anthem contends she was an independent contractor governed by Tennessee law. So this is really so Gail has not yet sued them. It seemed like she may have like said she might. And so this is a preemptive strike by TNA's parent company, like their lawyers, to get the whole thing moved to Tennessee. The dispute, after being released in March of 2025, Kim notified Anthem of potential legal claims regarding violations of the Florida Private Whistleblower Act. And then contractual status, Anthem is seeking a court ruling to affirm that Kim was an independent contractor, not an employee, which would negate her ability to use employee protection laws. That's scummy. The jurisdictions of the lawsuit filed in Nashville aims to enforce a contract clause stating that all disputes must be handled under Tennessee law rather than Florida law. And this comes after just a couple of days after they got good news in the ratings were like they finally broke 200,000. And then of course, like right before Impact's supposed to air, the story breaks. And apparently it was like this was filed a month ago. Now, again, this could go absolutely nowhere. Like Gail Kim could decide not to pursue any legal action and this whole thing might get dropped. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Dream said, I wonder why Gail Kim specifically fired Gail Kim, why TNA fired Gail Kim. That made no sense. Maybe we could find out through these lawsuits. Well, it stated that her contract was over, and then they worked on a month-to-month basis after that, and then they decided not to work together anymore when they restructured the company. Now, that is the corporate speak. I'm sure there was a deeper-seated issue, and there's a lot of rumors and innuendo out there. I won't tell you what she told me, but I did talk to Gail, and a lot of the stuff that was out there, especially BQ's report, and BQ has since redacted it, but BQ's report that she had given them some type of ultimatum that just never happened. That's like Gail told me directly, and she told BQ directly, and so I want to make sure that that's out there. Like it was nothing like that. You know, I tried to explain this before, and I'll try to do it again. It could just be like Carlos comes in, he's the head coach now, and the head coach usually picks the coaching staff, and he wants everybody to fall in line. And the folks that don't completely fall in line got to go, or if they have a different style that he likes, They got to go. It could have been just a number he wants like his guys in there, and guys and girls. So that's why the previous head coach, which would have been Ariel, he's out. And then Gail was a powerful voice in the company. Now, she wasn't like the head of creative, and she wasn't the head of production. She wasn't head of talent relations. She was an agent, a producer, did a lot of different things. But you know, she was a powerful voice, and now he's got people in there that he feels like is a better team for his style, if that makes sense. And maybe there's some nefarious things going on Carlos's side. I don't know. That hasn't been reported. So all I know is that it's just seemed like we got a new guy in charge. He's bringing his own people. Like, they got rid of a lot of the production staff. They got rid of a lot of the marketing staff and the advertising staff, the live event staff. He just started restructuring everything. So with people that he knew, and then people that he started to get to know, and then the guys that he trusts, which are, Tommy Dreamer and what's his fuck Delirious. He kept those guys around and put them in prominent positions. And then of course he hired Johnny Bravo and Ingrid as like part of their talent relations department and all that. So they seem like they got an okay team now. They have a new live event staff. They have a new director. George Veras is like the director of their television. And I can't say that it didn't work, right? Look where they're at now. I get the feeling the rating from last night's episode is going to be over 200,000 again, based off of AEW's ratings that just came out. Let me get to that. I want to get to the AEW ratings from this week. It's pretty crazy how far up they are, and I think a lot of it has to do with the new Nielsen measurement system, which has been benefiting pro wrestling, which has not been the case. So when Nielsen switched over, they went from their standard Nielsen panel count, which is what the way they had been doing forever, was pretty high. And then they went to this big data where they're pulling in from more resources, and they feel like it was a more accurate count. Well, it seemed like pro wrestling had been undercounted for a long time. And now all of a sudden, pro wrestling is kind of back in line with where they should be. So let's go to the report. This is Dave Meltzer. I get the feeling he got this report directly from Tony. So, in fact, I'm willing to bet good money that if like they were to sue me over this and we got to Discovery, that they would stop. So, not that there's anything wrong. Like, if your source is the guy who runs the company, I would say that's a pretty solid source. And Tony's like a good dude. So I think Tony got good numbers, and he's now giving them to Dave, and Dave's reporting them, and that's the numbers that's being picked up everywhere. But AEW Dynamite Wednesday did 654,000, 0.15 in the 18 to 49 demo, and 0.22 in the 25 to 54. That's interesting, the 25 to 54 demo, because most people don't count that, but it's starting to change a little bit. And I had a buddy that worked for the Reels Network, and he and I talked a lot whenever MLW was on that channel for a very short period of time. But we talked a lot, and he was telling me that a lot of networks, including Reels Network and then all the cable news networks, they're starting to like venture over into targeting the 25 to 54 demo versus the 18 to 49 demo, because younger people are no longer watching like linear television. They just watch streaming apps. They watch Netflix and Disney Plus, as opposed to like YouTube TV or cable. And but older people are more habitual, and so now they're starting to get advertisers targeting those demos. So that's why you see Dave now talking about the 25 to 54, because he's been educated. I learned this a couple years ago, but that was Reels. This is a small network, and so it makes sense for Reels. I would get the feeling that AMC Network, because of their target audience is classic movies, like the name of the network is American Movie Classics. That makes sense that they would target the 25 to 54. Now TNA is doing decent in 18 to 49, but they're also doing better in the 25 to 54 demo. So I would be on the lookout for that. But so that's a big jump from last week. Last week it was like zero, like the total viewers, that's a jump there, but like the demo in the 18 to 49, which at this point is still king, is up from the 0.09, which is incredible. It's almost like a double. That's almost like double the rating. Here, I'm gonna share the screen here. Let's see. Yeah. So it's almost double, and that's a big deal for them. And why am I bringing this up on Impact, on Brace for Impact? Well, it's because I get the feeling that we're gonna see a spike in this number right here for TNA. I think the total will probably be around the same 200 to 220, but we're gonna see. So Impact was a 0.04 last week, and if the trend continues, we're probably looking at 0.6, 0.8, something like that. I think that we could get a significant jump, or it could go down because I don't know the fuck I'm talking about, which is like likely. So, um, I mean that like typically Mike doesn't know what he's talking about is usually the way to go. All right, let's see. All right, Gail has till February 11th to respond. Yeah, for sure. Gail and Ariel were butting heads, so Carlos got rid of both. Gail disputes that. Gail disputes that part. So I wouldn't go around tossing that out there without talking to her. Wasn't Gail Kim also in talent development? Because a lot of wrestlers said she helped out a lot in developing some of them by coaching. Yeah, I mean, she was an agent, producer, a coach. Some talent, like she wasn't out there recruiting talent, but some talent that they brought in, like she would talk to them and help them, and for sure, a lot of female talent signed there because Gail Kim worked there. And it was like she was kind of a conduit. Now she wasn't at like independent shows out there scouting. That's not what she did. But when she was there and like they had young talent, especially female talent, she was like a part of the process for sure. AEW's got a lot of publicity lately. Yeah, they had a whole F Ice chant